Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Happy Monday. It's been a day. I did not expect to spend so much time looking at the David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez case today, but I sat there waiting for a long time for something that just never came, because they said there was going to be some statements and some things that were said after the arraignment situation took place. The families were supposed to speak, but then none of that happened. After everything was done and over with, they basically were like, yeah, the defense is done, and yeah, the state's done, and yeah, the families are gone, and yeah, bye. So I do have clips from the press conference. I took out all the fluff and all the introductions and the here we need to thank everybody and not get to the point bullshit like I normally do. And then there's about a 5 or so minute clip from inside of the courtroom where you finally see David. Now they did release his mugshot today. I can't find the charging documents anywhere. I don't know if they haven't been released yet. No, it's been about like an hour or so since I went to go look for the charging documents last. But I know that somebody was on scene at the courthouse and showed Rabbit the documents, or sent Rabbit some pictures of the documents earlier today. They don't really say anything too special. She's mad because the door is shut. Binky Binky's in here, but now she's mad the door is shut. Well, let me go open the door for her so she can calm down. Hold on. Let's see if she calms down. Probably not, though. Here, go over there with your child. Okay. If she starts getting loud, I'm going to take her back out of here. She's finally, like, comfortable, I guess, because she just walks around doing that. Like, she walks up to me, cuddling up to my leg, doing that. She jumps up to eat her food, doing that. She's just a talkative thing. So let's see what she does. Maybe now she can calm down. Okay. What was I saying? Okay, the presser happened. I went to go look for some stuff while waiting for the arraignment and that information to come out. So I have about 22-ish minutes, I guess, of everything together. I don't think it's very long. Yeah, it's like 22 minutes altogether, because the press conference, when you take away all the thank yous from all the agencies, was only about 12 minutes. Then I found a clip of some stuff that SF Investigates was talking about with Ashley Banfeld, I guess like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that goes into possibly the way some of these charges are being laid out. There's 2 additional minors apparently that have reached out to Steve. One of them has given him like photographic evidence proof that she was also in a actual, don't you do this. You gotta go. Calm your butt down. Figure it out. Okay, you can go to the window. See what she does. Okay. So Steve said he has proof of at least 2 other minors that David was also in a relationship with. What really pisses me off about what he said is that apparently this girl has gone to the police, given them all of the evidence, and other than them contacting her at that point and being like, little girl, and being like, yeah, we want your information. They haven't called her in to talk to her. They haven't really looked into anything. So maybe they were trying to get him in on this first. But when they started reading out the charges and telling us about the charges, and then we also know that he was talking to another minor, I'm really wondering if there was like an investigation going on and Celeste was going to be a witness to him doing some nasty stuff with a bunch of other people. Because he met Celeste when she was like 10, bro. This wasn't somebody who was like just 18 and she was like 14, 15 years old, like high school ages. This was someone who was like, I think he was like 16 and she was 10 or some shit like that. Like that's just way too much. Way too much. What I did find is a timeline on Twitter earlier today that really lays out. It was the most recent information that we had up until these documents that came out. So it has him meeting up with Celeste, like they met for the first time in late 2021. So she was like 10 or 11 years old, and he was like almost an adult. Like he was like almost 17, or he was 17 when they actually met. So I wanted to go through a little bit of this, and then I'm going to play the press conference from today. But they met, and this is from Head Navy, a fan account on Twitter. Put this together when a bunch of the press conference stuff started popping up and threw it up on the screen. In late 2021 is when they met. On her birthday the next year in 2022 is whenever Romantic Homicide was released. The MV was released. Is that the music video? That's when the music video was released. After he met her, he releases it on her birthday. And there was all these little breadcrumbs of things. All these breadcrumbs, all these proofs of relationships, all of these discords and all of these usernames and all of these streams where they were on stream with each other. The fact he had like a doppelganger Celeste that would come around. And when they were in a room together, little Celeste, which is this Celeste, the child, would actually go by Celeste, and the adult Celeste would go by Cece. So he had like this doppelganger around him the whole time. And then when the dates came out today, I had to go back in and look at some stuff because it looks like this would have all happened on April 23rd, 2025, which ironically, April 23rd of this year, which is in 3 days, is when the preliminary is going to start. They're wanting to get this started. And I want them to, because what? There's so much disgusting information here. And I don't know, like, if they're going to be able to find out, like, the in-between from when he killed her to when he started taking her body apart, because it wasn't, like, done on the same day. There was, like, 2 weeks or so. Lipso. Chill out, child. There was, like, 2 weeks in between him taking her life and the date that they have her body, like, being dismembered or mutilated, however the charges are laid out. We'll look at all that here in just a second. But again, they met in late 2021. By September of the next year, he is putting out Romantic Homicide's music video on her birthday. October 23rd, 2022 is the first time that they are seen in public, like on Discord, like on the internet. They have interactions on Discord for people to be able to see. Now, he is also pulling this same bullshit that the guy in the Athena Strand case is pulling, where there's like an alternate personality. February in 2023, and I don't really know, is it Itame or something like that, I think is David's personality name. Itame is born. And it starts this whole thing when it comes to his like music catalog and the way that his CDs and stuff are done. So then he releases on her birthday, again, something else on her birthday, but this time it's called Birthday and then the real word for self-deletion. Like, that's a great freaking title of anything, okay? The next day, on September 8th, 23, he then releases The Lost Petal, which basically all of his music after he met her, she's like the muse for everything. Like there's lookalike girls in all of his music videos, except for like maybe one that I've seen. They all, excuse me, sir, you don't get to pull on my computer wires. You know, just because I like you being in here doesn't mean I'm going to deal with you destroying my stuff. Blinky Binky. Stop. You're both causing me problems. Come here. He's trying to eat the computer wires. See, I can't even relax with him in here, bro. I can't. Are you gonna stop? Like, I'm gonna have to kick you out. I don't know if you want me to do that. Yes, he was more than obsessed with her. And it's just sick because when you go to look at the dates and then you go back and look at the stuff that was posted on social media, it's so disgusting. It's just so freaking disgusting. But pretty much everything that he did after that, she was literally like a muse for everything. Now on Valentine's 2024 is when Celeste runs away. She gets back home in March of 2024. Now around this time, for you guys that were following along with this case, that's when we started, or at least that's when the teacher that came out and was being recorded by a student, in the story the teacher's telling is this time frame, where she ran away with this guy that she met online, this rapper that she met on the internet. And I think he even said his name was David because like everybody knew her business because she came back and like everybody was talking about it. So everyone knew that this kid was already messing around or this adult, technically flip it to the truth. This adult was messing around with this child, and the whole school knew, like everyone knew about that. So then there was even some like blackmail rumors that came out from that situation. And then we see what they're talking about today. And it really makes you wonder if maybe there was a little bit of blackmail, maybe if because of the charges, and maybe she was like threatening to go to the cops, or somebody else was threatening to go to the cops. But that was definitely a rumor in the very beginning of this. So it's interesting. So then in April, she runs away again, and she doesn't return home again after April 2024. Now, when they said today, 2025, it threw a bunch of people off because, again, we've known that she's been away from home for well over a year at this point. She was away from home for well over a year by the time she was found, like her body was found. So when he said 2025, people were like, huh? Because a lot of people, especially if you've been following SF Investigates for all the documents that he has, because he was hired by the owner of the home that David was staying in at the time that all this happened. He has like cameras that were found that have pictures of like David and Celeste by herself from, I believe, like January of 2025. And then there's nothing else after that in that camera. And there like wasn't a trail. Oh, here she comes. There wasn't a trail. Don't step on the keyboard. I'm going to have to get off the camera for a second and get them out of here. Because now here she's on the desk. Oh my God, she's going to jump on everything. Give me just a second, guys. Hold on. I don't want to be completely distracted the whole time because I've already lost my train of thought like 15 times. I go put you out there. Okay, hold on. Okay, they'll be fine. Zelda was outside the door looking at me like, how dare they be in there and I'm not in there? Well, now they're all out there, so they'll be okay. Okay. So when she was found in the front portion of his Tesla back in September of last year, she was found like the day before her birthday where she would have turned 15, but the cops weren't called in until like the day after the Tesla had been towed away, because there was a smell and flies and like all kinds of stuff was happening. So she was killed before she ever even hit 15. So that was like a big discrepancy that a lot of people were getting really mad with a lot of people about, because a lot of people were calling her 15 already. No, she was dead before that. We definitely knew that she was dead before that. Now, a lot of us were thinking August 2 at first, before we found, or at least before Steve found pictures from January, because of some tour dates and some things that were being put online. But now that we know that April 23rd, 2025 is the date that they are set on, this next portion of information makes a whole lot more sense. So they have a date right here where David and Celeste's first mention of a breakup happens on April 25th, 2025, after his Coachella performance last year. And after that, April 25 mention of them breaking up, she's never seen online again. The same day that this is mentioned, his Withered album releases. Now, he again was at Coachella, and his last date at Coachella was the 20th, 3 days before she was killed. His next show is in Houston, where he's from, on the 27th. There's also a performance that he did. I think it was on the 26th. We're going to look at that too, because he starts crying on stage singing a song. But that's about the only time any emotion ever comes out of him for this, because he's just like living life like nothing. Creating music videos about murder, literally playing out scenes of bodies being put in trunks of vehicles as his muse is found in 2 separate bags because her body has been taken apart into pieces. And I'm wondering where he kept her, because I know that in the beginning they had said something about how there were signs that at some part of time that her body might have been frozen. There was some sort of water signage. And considering that she was killed on the 23rd, apparently taken apart around the 5th, and then they didn't find her until September, that is some months. That is some freaking months.
Where was she being held? Like where was her body? Now I know some people are talking about this Santa Barbara trip, but as far as I can tell from the couple of things that have come out, they're not really mentioning anything in way of the Santa Barbara trip meaning anything. But who knows? Who actually freaking knows? Okay. There's so much here when it comes to everything that he has done. So before I show y'all the clips of some dates, some things that he had posted online, he posted something online the day that she died, and he posted something online the date that they have that she was taken apart. And I'm going to show you both of those posts here in just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and listen to the presser again. This is about 12 minutes because I took out all of the agency thank yous, and it's pretty to the point. He doesn't answer too much, but it's to the point.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4vd, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office
in the summer
can bring. That is first-degree murder,
mock funerals
with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances.
So when they talk about the financial gain situation, the majority of everyone is like, his career was on the line if people found out that he was sleeping with minors, because she wasn't the only minor. She was not the only child. There was literally someone that he was hanging out with on Valentine's Day, the day that she ran away. And that's where the photos that Steve Fisher has are like coming from. Like this girl was right there. He was just like flip-flopping between chicks, multiple girls throughout the day, just doing whatever he did. That's why those photos of him like in the neighborhoods handing out money to people are so freaking important. Because he's obviously trying to hush people up. You funky.
Circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating
under
human
14
remains of a body. Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back.
Now, I have issues with what the parents knew. Now, I know that she was reported missing. I think like at least twice she had been reported missing. I know for sure once. I'm pretty positive at least twice. There were posters and stuff put out everywhere. And I get a lot of other, like, okay, there's some people that are like, okay, well, she was obviously like a kid that just didn't listen, was going to do whatever she wanted to do. She had fake IDs. She was running away all the time, all these things. Then there was a video that came out where she's really mouthy and she's arguing with the neighbors next door. And it's like a big argument. But you have to question, like, how did it get to that point? How did it get to that point where a 10-year-old was online actively talking to these grown-ass men, where she was able to contact and stay in contact with these people? How did this person have access to a 10-year-old child? Like, you can sort of make a little bit of, oh, that kid was trouble when they're like 14, 15 and they're almost grown and they really think they're grown and they're doing the most. But a 10-year-old little girl, like, I don't know if y'all seen the photos of what she looks like at 10 years old, but there's no mistaking that that is a 10-year-old child in those pictures. And we also, the brother came out and was like, yeah, he was the last one that we saw her with. He came a picture up in his black Tesla and took her to a movie and just never brought her home. And no one said anything else after that. Like, there were times where she was like back home and there was no updates to anything and she just stayed missing in the system, but it was just like a I don't know. This whole thing is just so jacked up because at the very beginning of all of this, she was just a 10-year-old child on the freaking internet playing Fortnite. This guy started out as a Fortnite streamer. And then he started making music on his iPhone, and it just blew up from there. Now, what's also really interesting is his father has Epstein connections. Like through his like businesses, he has an Epstein connection through a business. And it's really disturbing if you know about a live stream that Celeste and David did where they're literally like mocking that situation, laughing about stuff like that happening to kids. And it's like people in the chat are talking about Epstein. And he's like telling everyone to like delete the clips, delete the VOD, like all kinds of stuff. Like it's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. So that's why a lot of people were wondering, is his dad's connections the reason why they were taking forever to do anything? Because it's been a long time. And we've had this grand jury thing going on for like ever, and it hasn't been no secret grand jury. People have been knowing about this grand jury situation since it started because it's in the freaking news. Like people are constantly talking about it. Everyone from News Nation to regular freaking YouTubers were talking about the grand jury. Who was being asked to come to the grand jury? Some female that wouldn't testify and had like was threatened with going to jail if she didn't testify. Then the Neo guy that had to testify. Like none of that stuff was secret. We knew everything that was going on with it, which is wild because how is that normal process? Like I know that we complain about how quiet everything is in the Idaho case, but over in here, like in this one, even though there was like nothing actually happening in way of an arrest, there was constantly something happening in the news in way of the grand jury and different things like that. So we were just kind of like, okay, is his dad's connection the reason why nothing's going on? And then we find out that he gets arrested without any charges. And we're like, okay. So then what do they have? Apparently 40 terabytes. 40 terabytes of information, and they want the preliminary to start in 3 days. I think we can already see how that's going to go.
As we will show in
the videos are weird.
I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear. Is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony that we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged. Now, back to this being a parent's nightmare. On April 23rd, 2025, has been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills.
The one where he was staying at the time.
Again.
April 23rd. April 23rd. So almost a year.
On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke.
Now, let me explain for those who don't know how that situation happened with the vehicle, just real quick. And I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but we've done the videos where I show you guys like all the dates on paper, like in the screen, like normal. But this is how all of that went down. When he left to go on tour at the beginning of summer, that car got moved, or like the summertime. That car was found to be moved by not David, by one of David's associates that was with him on tour. And SF Investigates said that when they found the ring cam that showed the car being moved to where it was eventually found, that later on that same day, the person who is the associate of David that went on tour with him was on social media in that exact same shirt that he's caught in on the ring camera moving the car. So knowing that somebody else moved the car, but we're only seeing David being charged, I'm still curious with that because I don't know if that was done on that guy's own accord and he's in on something, or if he was like told by David to move the car. I know that in the beginning there was somebody coming out and claiming that they'd contacted David when they first heard about the body being found in his vehicle, like the vehicle itself was like identified, but before her name came out. And his response to his friend, like David's response to the guy, was that he didn't know what was going on because his car had been stolen. But that's not really true either, because the place where the friend moved the car is the exact same place that it ended up getting towed from. Nobody like moved the car in between there. And it wasn't reported stolen. If your car was stolen, like you would have definitely reported your Tesla stolen. And the other reason why a lot of people thought that something happened in January is because around like February 1st, he goes and he leases a red Tesla. And the black Tesla has like some wreckage in the back of it. So that's why a lot of people thought something happened in January. So he must have just like put the black Tesla somewhere and started driving the red Tesla because the red Tesla was in his garage when everything like first started being investigated. Now, I think something recently happened with the Tesla, but I'm not quite sure. I know a lot of people were talking about it the other day. Let me try to find it real quick. I just remembered that I saw that. Let me play this.
Thereafter began an investigation. The investigation was to determine who killed, who murdered Celeste months and months before. That investigation was carried out in unison and in partnership between the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office. At every point in the investigation, through the arrest and the filing of charges, the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office have worked in lockstep. There's been no disagreements amongst these entities in deciding how to proceed with this case, ultimately leading to these charges today. So what you have as well with these charges is that, again, there are 3 sets of charges that have been brought. The first-degree murder with special circumstances. And again, those special circumstances are lying in wait. That Celeste went to Mr. Burke's home on the night of April 23rd, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, at his invitation. And again.
So that would mean to me that they have proof either from a Discord message or some sort of Snapchat message or Instagram message or some sort of message, or even maybe like, I don't know, some sort of message to prove that she didn't just willy-nilly go over to his house, that he told her to go to his house, that he invited her over to his house. So that's important to note too.
Home on the night of April 23rd, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, at his invitation, and again, was not heard from again. The second is a special circumstance being that this murder was committed for financial gain. As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night.
Literally, he announces an album release on April 23rd, 2025. I don't know if it was a few hours before or a few hours after she died, but he damn straight on freaking Tickety Talk. April 23rd, 2025. New album on the way. I'm going to show y'all in a minute.
The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation.
Now, the only way that title, in my opinion, can be there is if there was already a previous ongoing investigation into David prior to her death. Because if the investigation would have ended up afterwards because she died, and the investigation is into him sleeping with minors, that wouldn't count. She couldn't be labeled a witness. She's being labeled a witness upon her death. So that means there was an open investigation into him already. So people don't know if it's for her situation with him because she's a minor, or if it's because it was coming out that he was doing stuff with multiple minors. Because again, Steve said that one of the minors has just recently, over the past few weeks, been brave enough to go to the police. So that wouldn't have been what the investigation was. And she's being labeled a witness upon her death. So hopefully we hear some information about that, because there has to be a specific reason.
In this particular case, as the evidence will come out in court, the witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint.
But see, I don't know if it was I guess it's because of the wording that they're using. Because, like, okay, if he was being investigated for sleeping with her, would they call her a witness, or would it be like something more on the line of like she's a victim and there's like wording for that? Like, I guess I don't know if is there a different term when it comes to like intimidating someone or threatening someone that's considered a witness, but they're not really a witness. Because to me, a witness is like removed a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, a witness is, to me, at least like once removed. They saw, they heard, they read, they experienced something from the outside looking in, is like the way that I view a witness. If she was like the victim itself, I feel like it would be different wording. But I don't know how California does things. So that's just like my mindset.
With Celeste while she was under 14 years old.
We're announcing the arrest and prosecution of David Burke for the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas. Throughout the 7-month investigation, this department has faced criticism for how we handled the case and for our decision not to provide details. I want to be clear about something. My duty is not to fuel speculation.
Maybe so.
It's to deliver justice. And that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part.
I do know that one of the rumors in the beginning, and again, just a rumor because we don't know, but we also know how disgusting Hollywood is and how that industry is jacked up. All right. So there was a rumor going around. I mean, it was sort of Epstein-esque, honestly. It was about how these rappers and these labels will go around and basically pay girls in these like low income areas to come and hang out and do stuff, to be around these guys, to keep these guys happy, to keep the labels happy, to keep the rappers happy. And they get paid and they get trafficked and all these freaking things happen. And the fact that we were being told a long time ago that she had multiple fake IDs, like, that doesn't really seem too much of a rumor, especially if there were multiple minors involved in it. And we see him, like, why would he be in a neighborhood handing out cash like that? I'm really wondering if maybe that has something to do with it.
This investigation was driven by a single purpose, to secure justice for Celeste Rivas and for those who loved her. We had to be certain that nothing we did or said would ever jeopardize this case. Ms. Rivas was a reported runaway from Riverside County. During the course of our investigation, detectives learned that she had been involved in a...
The thing that bothers me about the family, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is how I remember the beginning of this case. When the information came out about like the body in the car and whose car it was, mind you, this was like way before we had her name. They didn't immediately give us the person's name. They didn't know. The family like contacted TMZ instead of the police to say that their daughter, well, I guess it was the brother, maybe the brother and the mom, to say that Celeste was with this guy and it was missing and she was the one that was missing and it was possibly her. And that's kind of like where it started. And I remember hearing at that point that they hadn't talked to the cops. Like the first thing they did was run to TMZ. So that was just like something else on like, because I know that people always want to feel sorry for the families. And I completely understand that. I get why like instantly you want to feel some sort of empathy for something. I get that. But not everyone's situation, not every situation needs that. Not when we don't know what the hell's actually going on here. And there was way too much negligence when it comes to how that child was being raised. what was being allowed, what wasn't happening that should have been happening. And there's only been like one cousin over the past few months really out here, like even talking for Celeste and trying to like keep this case like out there. Because like some people are talking about like, oh, her family should sue him for what? For what? Like little 10-year-olds usually don't try to go and get affection or like at least reciprocate affection from older ass dudes at 10. Like normally a 10-year-old would be like, ew, that's cooties. That's not normal. So my question from the beginning is what was going on in that girl's house? What was going on with the way that she was being raised to where this was being allowed since she was 10? I'm just really wondering what the communications are going to show. Like who all really knew what was going on? Did her family even bother to talk to her? Because there was a time period in which she just like stopped talking to everyone, but it was, I almost want to say that I feel like the date was after April, which would almost mean that like somebody was pretending to be Celeste. Which I wouldn't put it past anything. I want to say it was August. Because that's why everyone was really wondering if something happened right before he took off on tour. Because she stopped communicating with people like in the summer, towards the end of summer. But if they really do have like timestamps of her texting people after April 23rd, that would definitely mean somebody was pretending to be that girl. I don't know. I just feel like when the brother came out and said, we knew exactly who he was, he's the one who picked her up in that Tesla, y'all knew where she was and where she was and where she was and where she was, and y'all never sent no cops to that house. Like, yeah, you report her missing, but you don't point fingers? I'd be pointing all of them. I hate these multifaceted cases. Because it's really hard to feel differently once you know certain things.
A sexual relationship with Mr. Burke when she was a minor and he was an adult. On April 23rd, 2025, Ms. Rivas arrived at Mr. Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills. That's the last time she was known to be alive. On September 8th, 2025, Ms. Rivas's dismembered and badly decomposed body was discovered in the front trunk of Mr. Burke's impounded Tesla. From that moment forward, our investigators faced an extraordinary, difficult, and complex case. The condition of her remains delayed the medical examiner's ability to be able to determine cause of death. The substantial amount of time that passed between her death and the discovery meant that crucial evidence had degraded or disappeared. They recovered and analyzed a substantial amount of digital and forensic evidence.
40 terabytes. Yeah, the people in the audience are really difficult to hear, but you can basically get the context of the question. Not like all of them. This guy and like I think the next one, some of them are a lot easier, but you can get the context of what's getting asked by the answer.
The details of the allegations that have made, particularly with that special circumstance, will be produced in court.
Did you determine cause of death and the difficulty it was to determine both the manner of cause and the date?
So with respect to the coroner's report, we will be seeking quite quickly to provide an order to the court that now allows the coroner to release that report to the public.
You believe that he from the BBC between the finding of the body of Celeste's body or her remains, why is it taking so long for an arrest to be made?
I think the police chief got it right, that in a situation where you don't have an eyewitness account, or we can't point to a video that shows the killer killing someone, you have to go through the very rigorous and thorough investigation to look at all the digital and forensic evidence. You have to speak with witnesses, often who are cooperative and some who are not cooperative, in order to obtain all the information
they did have issues
to decide who did what, when, how, and what their mental state was at the time. That is what we've been doing over the last, between September 8th, roughly, and today when we bring these charges on April 20th. So again, it's a type of case that you want to make sure you get maximum information. And by the way, if there's anyone out there that has material information about this particular murder or any other actions taken by Mr. Burke, please come forward to the Los Angeles Police Department, come forward to the LA County DA's office, and report that information.
Mr. Hoffman, there were other people who were aware of this relationship. Is it possible
for
that he was
years
arresting other people within his circle, and did he act alone in this death?
Again, with respect to whether or not there's any other individuals or going to take any other action,
people knew for years.
You will know about them
online.
If they do, but at this point, I'm not commenting.
Do you believe that you know how she was killed beyond it being homicide? The actual cause of death?
Sharp object.
The coroner's report will be released shortly. Because it is not currently released, I'm not going to be commenting.
But was it determined, not that, if you won't say what it was, but has it been determined how she was killed beyond it being homicide?
The coroner has made a determination on how Celeste died, and at the point that the coroner's report becomes public, we'll be able to comment on it.
Was there a specific breakthrough last week? Is there physical evidence that ties David to this murder?
There is physical evidence and there is forensic and digital evidence that we intend to present in court to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt.
Only a couple more questions.
Yes.
Your investigation, and just to his question, are you able to tell us exactly what the smoking gun is? And also, if you can address the issue of his visit to Santa Barbara, and that, how does it connect with the murder?
Yeah, that was a lot of questions.
The actual details of the evidence we're going to be presenting in court, I'm not going to do that today. As far as the concept of a smoking gun, the smoking gun is the totality of the evidence that we're going to bring to prove any case, whether it's this case or any case, beyond a reasonable doubt. An investigation is ongoing. If information comes forward on any with respect to any additional crimes, we will certainly investigate it. Yes.
One more.
Well, hopefully they got back to that girl.
What makes you confident you can prove these allegations?
What makes us confident is the totality of the evidence.
Yeah, he just kind of repeats himself.
Obtained by the LAPD robbery homicide, by the work that the district attorney's office has done, that has led us to the point where we believe we can prove each and every one of these three charges.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And the special allegation.
There's 7 altogether.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. So before we get, I have a clip up here from like the little bomb threat situation, but I also wanted to show y'all what it looks like. Now, as for the coroner report, I haven't seen anything. I don't know if it's going to be coming from this website. Let me refresh this and research it. I don't know if it's going to be coming on this website or another one. Like I said, the woman earlier that gave pictures of it to Rabbit, she had to take pictures of it and send them to her, and she was there in person. I don't see anything else. I haven't checked Pacer since earlier today because I wasn't sure, since they said they were not going to be releasing anything until after the arraignment. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. So I'll check Pacer and see if there's anything, and we'll just like look through it before the 23rd. I'm hoping that they stream it. They obviously let TMZ inside the courtroom today, and we have like a 5-minute clip. So I don't know why it wasn't allowed to be like live streamed. It was like recorded and then they posted it on TikTok after the fact, but they're literally the only one that I saw. Like the Associated Press and everybody else was outside and TMZ got inside. Which is crazy. But this is all that it shows so far on this like official Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles page. For those that want to go doing some digging on some court stuff, this is the case number right here. Now, these are what he's being charged with. Like there's seven lines here. Okay. Now, the first one is on the second line, but it's for the unaliving situation that took place on 4/23/25, because I guess since like that's her death is what like sparked the rest of it. Unless this 9/7/23 date for continuous SA of a child is the case that she was a witness to, and that's like the original one, but they have it as count number 2, so I don't really know. We'll get some more clarification on that. But we have the actual unaliving one, and then we have the special circumstance or the special condition for murder for financial gain, murder to prevent testimony, right there, and then the murder for lying in wait because he invited her over, lured her over to his house, then the use of a deadly weapon. Now, they didn't say anything about the way that she was killed in this presser. At least I don't remember if he said anything about a sharp object, but there is a press release from Los Angeles that we're going to read here in a second that does mention that, I do believe. So then notice, and I'll make this bigger so y'all can see these dates, bro. Notice it says 4/23/25 for when she was killed, but then for mutilation 5/5/25. That's like 2 weeks later. That's like 2 weeks later. Okay, that's crazy. Is this the one where it says something about a sharp object? It might be in Rabbit's video in the paperwork. Yeah, right here. Okay. Criminal complaint also includes special circumstances, allegations of murder of a witness, murder for financial gain, and lying in wait, as well as special allegation that Burke personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, a sharp instrument, to commit the crime. But I don't know if that means that he used a sharp instrument to unalive her, to take her life. Or if he used a sharp instrument to do the rest of it, you know, because they're not really being specific on how she actually died. She's also 14 at the time of her death, and California like gave us Kylie Rodney's autopsy report, like all of it, the toxicology, everything was there, and she was a minor at the time of her death too. But we were like no photos or anything like that was released. It was just the autopsy report. So getting that from California for a minor actually isn't unusual, but it is crazy. Like some people have already pointed out that California will give us a minor's coroner report, but we can't get the actual autopsy records for the Idaho adults. It is wild. Okay, I'm going to play just this tiny piece from the bomb threat today. It had to have been a fan of his or some shit. I know that yesterday and this morning on TikTok, I was seeing a bunch of weirdos talking about how they were going to go down to the courthouse so they could be there for their king when he was released because he was innocent. Like, even if you don't think that he did anything to her to like take her life, you can't sit here and deny the fact that he was grooming her and that there was a lot of inappropriate and illegal shit going on between the two of them since she was 10. So regardless, these people taking up for him are gross. Regardless, it's funky.
Area, make sure everything.
What happened?
Right now, we're just investigating a possible bomb.
Does it have anything to do with anything going on today, like the Rivas case?
We just have to check the area, make sure everything is clear, and then we'll get you guys right back in.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Leaving this area sterile as of now. So I know people want to come in and talk, so I'd rather address everybody and kind of go over that route. Right now, I have a dog running through the building, make sure everything is good to go. Once I get the okay, I will let y'all guys back in. It'll be like everything is done. If you are a juror or whatever the case is, from my understanding, I do believe the judges and everybody already knows what's going on. Everybody in the building knows. So you guys should be good to go. Don't quote me on that, but Yes, ma'am. I do know that. I've been many a time in this building as well. So just stand by. I'll try to answer what questions I can.
This was before the arraignment. So after the presser, but before the arraignment took place. The arraignment got pushed back a few hours because of this situation. I hope so. Like, I hope that they don't. Regardless, like, you cannot deny the grooming and the conversations and the things that were happening that shouldn't have been happening. And the fact that apparently there's proof of her not being the only minor that he was doing those things with. Okay, so this was a couple of weeks ago. I didn't see this because I don't watch her. You guys know that. So I didn't know that this was on here. Now, I have been following what SF has been putting over on Twitter. He was hired by the owner of the house because I don't know why. Honestly, I know that Steve lives like not too far from that area. So he was already like looking at it. He's a PI. He's interested in these things and it was in his local area sort of. So I don't know if he reached out to the guy or not, but he was actually helping the guy figure stuff out before he was actually officially retained by the owner, because the owner had SF helping him try to figure out before retention what actually was taken from the house, because the search warrant inventory wasn't left. They weren't given anything. So the owner didn't know if like cameras were taken, furniture, like anything that belonged to him actually was taken out of that house, walls or like anything was taken. He had no freaking idea. So I know that's where SF like first like stepped into helping the guy, but then he was hired, I guess, because he was just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And the faster that he can get this over with and get his rental property back out there for, you know, being a rental, the better. But I don't know what's going to happen in that situation, because where was she actually killed and stored? Like, they already searched the shit out of that house and they told us, and they could have been lying, that they didn't see or find anything. Really. Like, there's like equipment that was found in there that they said that shouldn't be in there. And the camera with the pictures. But I don't remember them ever claiming that there was anything of Celeste's in there. Like, it was like she was never there besides the camera with the pictures on it. So she didn't have any clothes, like nothing at all. Like, she was never, ever there. So I don't know if it's been like released back for leasing and other people are living in it by now. Something about Sandra Bullock came up somewhere, like wherever David was arrested from is apparently a rental that he was leasing that is owned by Sandra Bullock. That was like the most recent information when it came to like where he was at when he was arrested. I don't know if that means anything. Okay, let's listen to what Steve has to say. He is going to be mentioning to her 2 other minors that have reached out to him about having situations with this David guy. And one of them in particular had a lot of photo evidence and has gone to the police.
Start with the sex crimes if you have to. I announced like 2 weeks ago, I have 2 other minors that have come to me. One of them has given me tons of photo evidence. Her and him together. She's minor, there's no doubt. But at the same time, on the day that Celeste ran away, the last time on February 15th, she's at one spot, and this other minor that he's involved with is 2 blocks away at a different place, and he's going back and forth. I've had 2 minors
going back and
separately come to me. One of them
2 blocks away
has tons of photo evidence, including from February 14th and Valentine's Day, them together. I mean, romantically together, and she's underage.
The minor and David.
Yes, minor and David together in the rental house that my client owns.
2 months before she was killed. So,
and there's no disputing it. It's not like you only see part of them. They're together, taking pictures into a mirror, and so they're together. Celeste's not in those pictures, and Celeste, and this girl doesn't know Celeste, and I mean, she knows who she is now, but she didn't know her. And I encouraged her to go to law enforcement. She was scared to death. She's like, I don't know if they could be, but she went and she's told them, and she showed them pictures, and they're not prosecuting a sex crime. So it seems to be like it's murder or nothing. And at some point we gotta protect these underage girls.
So this young minor, did she say that she'd had sexual relations with David and she's underage?
Absolutely.
And she told the police that, and they're not interested?
And yes, and She told the police that. I'm just saying there's been no movement on it at all, and they haven't followed up.
They haven't followed up with her.
Well, besides saying, yeah, you send us your pictures and stuff like that, there hasn't been like extensive sit down interview with her. I'll put it that way.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you'd think if they were trying to really like get some charges on this guy to hold him, you've got proof of him being in a relationship with a minor that's not Celeste. Why wouldn't you just bring him in on that? And then start from there. I'm pretty sure that this picture that he's talking about of them being in like a mirror, I'm pretty sure that it's circulating. Because I don't remember if this girl's name is Kadisha Lynn or Keisha Lynn or something like that. But she has a TikTok and then she posts her stuff here on YouTube. And she was also talking about this. And there was like a picture of a girl with blonde hair. Like I saw it today. There was like a picture of David and a girl with blonde hair and the phone is sort of like covering the girl's face. And see, that's another thing that we noticed too, is that the pictures of Celeste and David that were out there, like her face was always like covered with something where you couldn't see her whole face because he wanted her identity hidden.
She's willing to. She finally got the courage up to be like, okay, I'll do what I need to do. And it doesn't seem to be a priority.
Yeah, they're not even bothering. Yeah, I did. That was in poor taste. It actually had literally nothing to do with this situation. The timing was just super hella jacked up. And whoever is responsible for that marketing should probably be fired, honestly. So there's like some sort of show coming out. The roommate, the neighbor, some dumb shit from Netflix, and the girl in it who's like the big problem that's a liar, her name is Celeste. So the whole Celeste is a liar banner from Coachella was Netflix's poor freaking timing of marketing. That was already planned and scheduled for the airplane to be up there and do that before anything with David was ever announced. Ironic considering the timing where he was last year, right before, because he performed at Coachella last year, right before her death. Yeah, it was really bad timing. Netflix probably should like apologize for being so freaking tone deaf. Okay, so this is a video I found on Reddit that was posted by somebody on Reddit. And the date of this video was 3 days after she's apparently been killed on the 26th. He's somewhere singing. I only have like 2 lines of the song because I don't want this to be struck. I'm just gonna play it. Just watch it. What good is a kiss without you? I had to like mute it right there. He starts crying. I didn't put that emoji there. Somebody else did before they like must have known anything because that's how it was on Reddit. See, he can't even finish singing the song. He starts talking about kisses needing to have a meaning, and that regardless of whatever, and bleeding and whatever, romantic song you can tell but from the melody, and he can't even finish singing it because he's crying. But that doesn't really mean much because the day that she was killed, did I take it out of here? Where did it go? Oh no, what happened to that piece? Hold on. I might have to go grab the screenshot. I know I was trying to fix this earlier and put it in a different order, and it might have screwed up. Hold on a second. Okay, right here. So on April 23rd, 2025, the day that she was killed, he puts this on TikTok. My album drops tomorrow. Taking a picture. Your prayers have been answered. It's finally here. And this was posted on his TikTok page, his verified page, on 4/23/25. The day that she died. Now, the reason why that's crazy, and this next one's even crazier, is because the date that they're claiming that he took her apart is 5/5/25. And this is what he posted on 5/5/25. This is for the ending song of the album. And it says the perfect outro for an album, talking about the Afterlife tour. The Afterlife tour. The day that she gets chopped up. And he's got a freaking crying emoji. The perfect outro for an album, crying emoji. I'm sick to my stomach. Like, knowing that these are real. I've been sick to my stomach for hours. And then the only thing else that keeps going into my mind is the fact that we have videos of this fool sitting there and like scrubbing her shoes. And in his post, he's like, "Oh, I clean shoes as a side hustle or some shit." No, you don't, bro. You've got like millions of dollars. No, you don't. Shut up. Sit down. Be quiet. They were her shoes. There's photos of her sitting on like a bus seat with her legs up, and you can see the shoes, and they're her shoes. He's scrubbing them all up with a brush and stuff. I just can't believe that he just like could sit here and like post this kind of stuff. It's so disgusting. Thank you for the gifted membership, Salty. 10 gifted memberships. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Congratulations to those who got those. Congratulations. Yeah, sadistic shit. Sadistic. Hella sadistic. Okay, so this next clip, it's only about 5 minutes long. This is the inside of court today. Side note, look at the judge and tell me if she doesn't look like an older blonde version of Adele. Like the singer Adele. That's just who I saw when I saw this judge's face.
Calling People versus David Anthony Burke. That's case number 26 CJC
like
F02399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
There he is.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We
Nothing secret about that stuff.
Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing, and the proceedings not be done in secret.
Does open mean it'll be actually like viewable?
Preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3
days. And I don't know what that means. What is a 3 of 10? Is that what she says? The other guy before said that too. I don't know what that means.
In order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Anything from the people?
3 of 10.
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set. Plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke. The matter will be set in Department 105. The matter is ordered assigned to Judge Charlene Almeida in Department 105 for all purposes by the judge of the supervising judge of criminal.
Yes, Your Honor. If I may just put on the record, we have, as soon as the people arrive, delivered a informal discovery request consistent with Penal Code Section 1054. We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those. They have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives. In addition to that, the coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising.
So Tracy said that it was on the website that we were reading earlier where it showed the sharp instrument in the paragraph. So I went back because I'd had that page open for like a hot minute. So I hadn't refreshed it. I went back and refreshed it, and she's right. The actual complaint is now attached to it. So I'm going to let this play, and then we'll go over the complaint real quick. Thank you for that, because I wouldn't have refreshed the page.
News given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed the cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office, as did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
I'd ask the court to make an order today.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case forthwith.
Thank you.
The matter set in Department 105, as the court indicated, April 23rd, 2026, as a 3:10 p.m. Anything further?
No, not this time.
Bail to Samet, no bail.
No bail. Okay. So let me move these over. Now, I don't know if they're going to automatically release the coroner report to the public. Because that's definitely not what this is. This is just the complaint, which is what we were looking for. But I don't know if they're going to release that to the public or if they're just going to release it to them. See, that's what I'm worried. That's what I'm wondering about with those charges, because the stuff about minors is September 2023. So I'm just not sure. I don't know. Especially now that we know that there are other minors that he was apparently, doing things with. All right, here's the link to this page. It's on the LA District Attorney's website, that one that we looked at earlier. Now, I don't know the regular verbiage for this state. And I know that when I was listening to Rabbit read the pieces that she had gotten from the lady that was on scene today, that there was just some interesting wording in here. Y'all will get that when we get to that. I probably won't even have to say anything. Now, when it comes to the Tesla thing, that was one of my big questions. Because the Teslas record everything. But I don't know if it's a subscription that he had to pay for or what was going on with that. Because again, There was something with the car that took place in like January or February. I want to say January, but it was never like the registration was never paid for. Like he never did the registration for 2025. And I think it was like earlier in the year, like early January, February 2025. And then February 1st, he goes and he leases a red one. So we have the back end of the Tesla looks like it was hit. Like it's damaged. The registration is not paid for and redone. And then he goes and he leases a red one. But she doesn't die till April. So maybe that just had nothing to do with anything. And it's just something else with his vehicles. I don't know. But for that to be also the one that she was found in is interesting. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they have footage of like who put her in the Tesla or not. Like, I don't know if she was put in there right before they took off for the tour. And like nobody noticed the smell enough because it's, you know, California sewer systems apparently don't smell too great. Like the way that the streets drain isn't awesome. I know that like some of the reports about the neighbors were talking about like smelling something, but nothing that was like that. That's why I was like, okay, maybe it's just like the streets, and maybe the street smell sort of like blocked it a little bit, but then it got like really, really bad once the car was in the tow lot. There's a lot of questions about how she got in there and when did she get in there? Was she in there when the guy like moved the car? Like, we don't know. We don't know. Hopefully some of that information comes out because there's so many freaking questions. Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay. So this is 6 pages of the felony complaint. And it says count 1. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Count 1. On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of taking someone's life in violation of Penal Code 187A, a felony, was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Celeste R., which is Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a human being. Notice, the above offense is a serious felony with the meaning of Penal Code Section 1192.7c and a violent felony within the meaning of Penal Code Section 667.5c. Upon a felony conviction for the above offense, prison custody time is to be served in state prison based upon the above felony offense being a serious felony defined by Penal Code Section 1192.7 and or violent felony defined in Penal Code Section 667.5, or a felony offense requiring registration as an SO pursuant to Penal Code Section 290C within the meaning of Penal Code Section 1170H3. I can about imagine that if he's taken her life and taken her body apart and did all the other things, he's not going to have to register because his ass is not going to ever get out. I don't see how he couldn't get, at the very minimum, life. Especially if they have proof that he was messing around with other children. Okay. Like, come on. Okay. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was intentional and was carried out by the defendants, David Anthony Burke. Well, it says defendant with S. So people are kind of questioning that because they are kind of leaving it that way, but it just has his name on it for financial gain. And then it says that Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because she was a witness to that crime. So that tells me that there has to be some sort of text communication, something they can read in black and white, that they have evidence of them having conversations about the case, about a case that was already been filed against him. That is really insane to me because that means that there was a case against him before this took place and nothing was changing for him. Like, there was already an open investigation and he was still going on a world tour, not just around the US. He was going over to like Sweden and shit. Like, he was going on a world tour. And there was an open investigation into him. as late as April 2025. And he had just performed at Coachella 3 days before that. So nothing was stopping. Nothing about an investigation into him was stopping what was happening. So I bet you that like boosted his ego to know that there could be an open investigation into him that he had full knowledge of, because they were obviously discussing it. There was obviously a conversation that proved he was angry with her, and that what happened was a direct result of her being a witness to this crime. So with nothing going on, yeah, he probably felt pretty empowered. He probably felt like he could cover it up because he'd done a good job so far, or his people in him had done a good job so far. And remember, his manager that the lease was actually on the name of for that house, there's emails that he received that we've seen the proof of. We've gone over them in a video, I believe, where her being missing and being a minor was sent to him in an email. And some information was forwarded from him over to David. And then like the very next day or later that same night, she pops up at home. So like his management team knew that Josh guy. That Josh guy knew what was going on. So then it says, it is further alleged that the killing of Celeste was committed by David Anthony Burke, and that the defendant intentionally killed the victim by means of laying in wait. Because he lured her, trapped her, got her in the position that he wanted. It is further alleged that the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, the said defendant, David Anthony Burke, personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, to wit, sharp instrument, said use not being an element of the above offense. What does that mean? Okay, so the use of the sharp object is not an element of the murder itself, because regardless, it was a murder. Okay. So now count two. When it comes to continuous essay, okay, on or between September 7th, 2023 and September 7th, 2024. And is that not like her birthday? Her birthday is either the 7th or the 8th of September. In the county of Los Angeles, the crime of continuous essay was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully engage in 3 or more acts of substantial S conduct and 3 or more lewd and lascivious. I've never had to say that word in my life. You know what? We're just going to skip right past that because that's a little bit too Dr. Seuss for me. Okay. Child under the age of 14. Now, remember, she was 14 at the time that she died, and her body was discovered the day after she would have turned 15. So she would have been 13 in 2024. For her to have been 14. She would have been turning 15 in 2025. So she was 14 after September 7th, 2024. So this is like the year that she was 13 years old. Is this time frame, this September to this September. And it says the above offense is a serious felony. Conviction of this offense will require you to register. Conviction of this offense will require the court to submit blood tests for evidence of see, this is where I'm really like wondering if this is like normal verbiage, and I really need somebody to tell me. Lascivious? Weird. That's a crazy word. Most of this shit's Latin anyway. Is it normal for them to say that you have to give over your blood test for AIDS and HIV testing? Is that something that they like specifically talk about in court paperwork? Okay. This got my attention earlier because I don't know. But that's what it says. Conviction of this offense will require the court to order you to submit a blood test for evidence of antibodies to the probable causative agent of AIDS. And I just don't know if that's normal or if they that's an element here. Being charged with this criminal offense can result in mandatory pre-conviction HIV/AIDS testing and disclosure of the results to a victim and the chief medical officer of the jail or prison facility. Maybe they just have to test just because you're about to be in the jail, in the prison. But I don't think I've ever read a charging document that mentions that very specifically. So I have questions. I've been talking a lot today. Lots of phone calls. And I can feel it in my throat. Yeah, there wasn't. Well, we didn't have charging documents in Kylie Rodney's case. I guess I can just call the court tomorrow and ask them. Because, not telling your partners that you have it and then them contracting it is totally a crime. So I'm just curious as to if that's something here. Because I don't know. Okay. It says, upon a felony conviction for the above offense, prison custody time is to be served in the state prison. Yeah, we saw that earlier. Basically, it's pretty much the same thing that we sort of read already in the other one. But this is interesting too, because them separating these dates out means that they have specific information about this date. On or about May 5th, in the county of Los Angeles. So they know that he didn't take her out of anywhere. She was in LA County. The crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains in violation of Health and Safety Code Section 7052, a felony, was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did willfully and unlawfully mutilate remains known to be human, specifically the remains of Celeste. Yeah, we know. I know a lot about it. I know lots about it. And then this is just your regular penal codes and what ifs. Now they arrested him 4 days ago. Sometime into last week. And people were really worried because there were no charges filed. I honestly don't know how they were able to do that. I thought the charges had to be filed, the evidence had to be with the DA's office before you could just go and snatch somebody up with a warrant. But they snatched his ass up and then waited and didn't serve anything to the DA until today. And they are saying he's eligible for death. That he is definitely eligible for this to be a death penalty case. Crazy. Sad, crazy, insane, disgusting, all the things. All of the things. I've tried my best with how we deep dive into Idaho to try to keep up with this one. It's not you can tell by the numbers. There's not even 200 people in here. Not a lot of people on this channel care about this case. But other channels, that's the niche. The celebrity world is the niche over on those channels. So they get a lot of traction and stuff over there. And they know a lot more than I know about the case because they've been digging into it actually the whole time. I just know pieces from reading stuff about Steve and then obviously stuff that came out today with the documents itself. But if they actually allow us to see the preliminary, because his damn attorney did mention the word public. She sure did. And TMZ's asses were allowed in there. So maybe I should just call and ask, is this going to be something that we're going to be able to view? Or is this something that we're going to find out about after the fact and TMZ is going to get to edit it and do whatever they want to with it? You know? So I don't know. We'll see. I hope we can see it. Regardless, I'm going to try to keep up with the updates on this one, especially once more information comes out. Because I just want to know. I just want to know where she was. What is this additional case that they have? Like, is there another case number? Are they going to piggyback them together? Like, what's going on with that? How come he had this investigation going on about something that was going on with him doing stuff with minors and was just allowed to be willy-nilly out there at Coachella and around kids? Like, I'm sorry. This is just so disturbing, especially knowing that he was doing like mock funeral shit. Like all through the summer after she's dead, there's all these videos of him setting up funeral sites. Like with the coffins and everything, people being like, what do they call them? Pallbearers, the people that carry the caskets. That, like, all the whole thing. Disturbing shit. Like everything about his music was about her after he met her as a freaking baby. A 10, 11-year-old baby. He became instantly freaking obsessed with her. Dropping music and music videos on her birthday. Like, all of the breadcrumbs were there. Like, it's so obvious that something was sadistically sick here. Ugh. Oof. It's just a lot, man. It's just a lot. And for the record, I saw some people in the very beginning mentioned the situation that happened in Shreveport, Louisiana with the guy that basically killed everyone, all of his children. There was like 8 kids, 2 adults, like that were his kids' mothers. I did see that yesterday morning. Shreveport has never been a place that I would say you needed to go to. Shreveport's always been one of those places to where when we lived elsewhere and we had to drive through Shreveport on the highway to get to where Ariel was when we would go back and forth, we wouldn't, I don't care. I don't care what the issue was, how much gas I had. I was stopping at an exit before I would get to the highway areas of Shreveport both ways if I knew that I was going to need gas anytime soon, because I just wasn't going to stop in Shreveport. Now, does that have anything to do with the situation? I don't know, probably not, but just all the way around, Shreveport's dangerous. Shreveport's been dangerous for a long time. But you really don't ever hear anything too much that comes out on the news about Shreveport. This one did. But there was also some sort of shooting situation outside of a middle school earlier today. Something I think happened at a Cardi B concert. Is that something? I saw some video of people running out of the building at a Cardi B concert earlier today. I don't know how old it was. Some other TikToker said something about how there's been like 5 mass pew-pewings technically because of the amount of people that have died just over the like weekend. There was just a shooting at a freaking pyramid in Mexico, a tourist attraction spot. Someone went over there and just started opening fire earlier today. The world is burning. It's been burning for a long time. It's not just the United States either. Like, there's shit going on everywhere. It's crazy. But I'm glad that we got an arrest, and I'm glad that maybe something will come out, and maybe for once somebody will get justice the right way. We'll see what happens. Given his daddy's connections and his parents not wanting to come and talk and wanting to fight every little bitty thing and all of his assets being in his parents' names, obviously they knew what they were doing. Like, they knew what they were doing. They were trying to do everything they could to cover up a lot of shit for this guy. It's gross. All right, you guys. I'm going to hop off of here. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so I'll sit down and figure out what we're going to talk about tomorrow, because Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days I like to try to go live twice. I don't know if we'll go live twice. I will definitely go live tomorrow at least once. We might go live earlier in the day to go over the newest interview that Connor posted in the Idaho 4 case. Maybe. And then I'll post either some Pullman documents or some exhibit information or something like that tomorrow evening. I think I'm going to have to go back and forth because we've got exhibits I still need to go through. A couple of updates when it comes to the the WSU lawsuit, and then a couple things. So I'm just gonna have to like go back and forth with it. But we'll probably do a live at like 11:45 tomorrow morning to go over that interview, just to like knock it out of the park and get it out of the way. Bronx Tales emailed me. I need to get back to her. When it comes to Devil's Advocate, going to be talking to that author of the Broken Plea book. I think he's actually the first one that's getting a hold of that guy and getting to speak to him. And she asked me if there was anything I wanted to ask him after my live last night. Damn straight. I haven't emailed her back yet, but I'm going to get a couple things together and then email it like her specific questions, especially when it comes to some of the FOIA stuff, because I wouldn't mind comparing some things, especially when it comes to like custody of the knife sheath bullshit that they did with the 2 photos or whatever, 3 photos and 2 email threads of dumb shit, just to see, compare and contrast to what's being denied and not. Same way with EWU. But yeah, we'll get there. All right, guys. Thank you for coming in here. I know it's not a big popular case here on this channel, but I care about this case. I care about what happens here. I care about this girl's story. I know I didn't talk about it straight away on YouTube, but if you were over on my Twitter account, then I was basically like sharing and talking about this case and trying to figure out like anything about it, retweeting everything that people were talking about on Discord and everything else from like day one when they said it was David's car. And I didn't even know who this guy was. Never heard of him before in my life. My kid didn't know him as a Fortnite guy before the music. Like, we didn't know who the frick this guy was. And then to see how popular he is was interesting. Because it almost like kind of came out of nowhere, sort of. Like he amassed a really big following really, really quickly. Really quickly. And they just like, with open arms, accepted this like Atame weird personality of his as just like part of the act of his music. No, it wasn't though, because that's like probably what he's going to try to use here. Like the similarities between what we're hearing with that and this guy that killed Athena Strand and his multiple personality issue with that 0 thing in his brain. Very similar. Very annoying. Very annoying. I mean, probably. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh, thank you, Plastique. I appreciate it. All right, you guys have a super great night. Try to get some sleep. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for being in here. And thank you again for the 10 gifted memberships, Salty. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to go make some quesadillas or some burritos because I saw Salty talking about a burrito earlier. And me and Slade were talking about burritos and quesadillas earlier. So I think you helped us figure out what we were going to make for dinner. So thank you. You'll have a super, super great night. I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.